Hey, everybody. You're listening to What Are You Doing in Denmark, the podcast that helps you make Denmark make sense. Today, we are picking up our conversation with Conrad Molden, and we are back with Annie and myself, Derek, to talk about Janteloven.
Yeah, Janteloven is a crazy thing that somehow keeps our society in balance, or does it?
We'll talk more.
La, 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 la. Yeah, that's it. Just la 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 all the way. Yeah.
Well, it is funny, the idea of sort of downplaying things as well, whether it's working for the state's minister or being more approachable. So I thought it could be fun if we did a little experiment, sort of the idea of girl math, but in Jante Math. Right. So if you don't know, girl math is sort of a trend or an idea of justifying a purchase. And a lot of women do this on TikTok, and it's very funny to kind of justify how they spend their money. The idea being like, well, my favorite store is having a sale, so I have to buy something because if I don't, I'm losing money. Or if I pay in cash, it doesn't really count as part of the purchase. Right. So I thought it could be fun if we just compliment one another, maybe mention an achievement, and then we have to find a way to Jante Math that. So in the same trend of girl math, we'll just kind of justify it through Janteloven.
Yeah.
Jante Math.
Conrad, congratulations. I'm really proud of you for the success of your tour and selling out historic Bremen Theater here in Copenhagen.
That is very sweet of you, Derek. You know, that venue is a well-known place for entertainment, so it would just be full of people anyway.
Oh.
You know, they're kind of just going there, expecting to see something. You know, it's cold outside.
They maybe didn't know who you were.
Get inside.
Yes, that's
seats are
so
warm.
Yeah.
Oh, there's some comedy. You know, let's watch that.
That's convenient.
You know,
so it's more of a convenence than anything.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right place, right time.
Oh, that works so well. Yes, I love that.
No, I get it.
Jante Math.
Yeah.
Derek, a lot of people are tuning into the things that you
Yeah.
create. They really revere you. They love you.
I was going to say that.
You know?
Oh yeah, I appreciate that. I do have to say though, it's really it's mostly Mike who comes up with these ideas, and you know, I think people really like him, and I'm just lucky to be here.
Oh, wow. Just along for the ride.
I mean, who isn't?
Yeah. You just are doing nothing over here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jante Math.
And Annie, congratulations! I know you recently contributed to Vogue magazine. That's every girl's dream. Really, congratulations!
I wasn't expecting people to see that. Thank you. I am pretty sure that was a joke. Yeah, I just put on clothes and I go about life. Yes, but thank you for seeing that.
The famously unfamous Vogue magazine.
Yeah.
It's usually at the back with the ones where you do the crosswords?
Yeah.
It's usually behind that.
Yeah, I typically don't see it, so that's good to know. Thank you for letting me know.
What's that?
Yeah.
Vogue?
Something to do with
it's a
trousers?
Madonna song, I think.
Oh, yeah. That's
Madonna song. I
Yeah.
love that one.
Yeah.
Is she okay?
But it is funny. Do you guys feel, I mean, honestly, even just in this little exercise, I know we met it again as satire, like the original book of Janteloven. It does feel awkward receiving any kind of...
It does.
Does it?
Oh, it does.
Do you feel different than before living in Denmark with this?
That is something I really enjoy. Especially, I don't know if this is just like the culture of women, the culture of like living in the South. Something that I have really enjoyed is that I don't feel obligated to compliment people all the time, and I enjoy not being complimented all the time because it felt like an obligation. Like, oh, here she's got to say, oh, I like your earrings, and you kind of know that they're like just saying that because they see, oh, you look so good, you know.
Yeah.
And I've never missed it because it can make you feel really self-conscious, right? To like get sort of, and with women and with where I grew up, it was always very like appearance-based compliments. And it's just really nice to like, I know I can leave the house in any condition, good or bad, and no one cares. And I just really, it's something I just really enjoy being invisible, which makes no sense actually, considering my profession.
It can be nice having that social pressure removed a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do remember, like, I remember my mom told me a story once where, because I think in American culture, I think British culture is similar, where it is very accustomed to maybe complimenting somebody when you meet them, or even complimenting a stranger. My mom told me a story once where she was complimented on a shirt that she was wearing. and she just said like, "Oh, this like I've had this for a while." Again, kind of like a this old thing, something. But it was something that my father bought for her, and he was with her, and so she was trying to sort of downplay the compliment, and in turn, actually. You know, I mean, they
insulted
could laugh
your dad
about
a little
it.
bit. Yeah.
It didn't cause any.
Yeah,
That's
but
not
he
why
was
they
just
got
like,
divorced.
it's just that was it. That was a nail in the coffin. Oof,
It was other
awkward.
things.
Something my husband would always laugh at, like if somebody say compliment my shirt, I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I got it for $2. You can get it here if you want." You know, like I felt somehow guilty for having this shirt, and like I should just like explain how it wasn't so expensive or anything. And you should get one too. I shouldn't be the only one with this shirt. And if you like, take this one. Actually, I don't need the, you know, like, what? So
you like this, you need it.
Yeah, take it now. So it's nice not having.
You do hear that a lot, I think, in Denmark, where if somebody does have something nice, like say like a nice, like I find a lot of Danes will spend good money on a high quality sound system in their home, for example, like a nice Bose or sorry, that's
well, Bang and Olufsen.
Sorry, a Danish brand, right? But like a nice, a nice Scandinavian home speaker, sound box. I don't know, whatever. But then we'll sort of justify that, like, oh well, it was on sale, or oh, this is last year's model, or something
so
like
girl
that.
math.
And it's like, but take the compliment. Yeah, so I think there is maybe a little girl math, Jante Math overlap.
Is Denmark baby girl coded?
Are they in the mob wife aesthetic?
Oh, are they in there? Definitely not. No.
No, because that would stand out.
That would stand out too much.
Kara's like, I don't know.
We went all TikTok on,
One thing that I think is curious is, of course, this was satire, but I think it's interesting to go back to this, the book that this is inspired by, came out in 1933. So that was a time of sort of figuring things out in a lot of social upheaval, a lot of societal change happening in a quick period of time, post-industrial revolution, post-World War I. And in a way, I think these are times where people are sort of grasping onto culture, grasping onto a semblance of the past. And even though it seems a bit antiquated, the concept of Janteloven, I think that may have been what resonated with people. Of like, we shouldn't be this way. Look what it got. Look where it got us. Wanting more, industrializing.
Especially First World War, which is a completely unnecessary conflict in Europe, where it's just about who's got the biggest empire, who has the most land, who's going to the furthest places and are getting the most things, and it just ends in this senseless conflict. So it's maybe it's a kind of reaction, an overreaction to the times. Yeah,
because I think in times of this kind of social change and upheaval, we do cling on to something, and sometimes it may be religion, sometimes it may be these societal rules. We go to a place of conservatism because things are progressing in a way that we don't like. Or you hear more talk of values and morals, and maybe that's sort of where it came from.
That's such an interesting perspective. So instead of being like puritanical like the US, it's Janteloven.
Yeah. But in a way, it's a bit of puritanical.
In some other aspect.
Behavior.
It's interesting to consider like what that might have looked like in like the 60s and 70s when individualism was like a really global concept, and I don't feel like, maybe it wasn't as much of a global society that we live in today, but you see that the Beatles were on tour here, rock and roll was like a big deal here, just like it was everywhere else. So I'm curious what that looked like, and I wish I could have been a part of that. But my dad actually traveled here in the 70s, and he was so surprised. I mean, he was so surprised when we said we were going to move here, and so surprised and delighted by the differences between Denmark in the 70s and Denmark now. And I wonder if Janteloven like somehow, contributed to, society getting on its feet again in any sort of way. I don't know. I don't know. What was it mostly? Taxes?
Probably.
I wonder if Janteloven helps people swallow the pill of the high taxes that we have, because I personally am like, I love to pay taxes knowing that everyone is hopefully getting equal care. And I think that sort of ties into the Janteloven thing. So that's a little positive of it. Yeah,
that's very true. It's funny though, because I feel like Danes are very happy to pay taxes, obviously, with transparency in government, but they hate scat.
Do you think so?
Yeah. If you mention
Interesting.
SCAD or working at SCAD or SCAD as an institution.
Oh,
people,
okay.
Like as an actual institution, people dislike it.
What's the response? Like,
People are
after
like,
those guys?
oh, SCAD. Oh.
Interesting.
But the idea of taxation is fine. It's just perhaps the institution that runs it is a...
That's so interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if you... I mean,
Do you know
obviously
anybody that
guys-
works for SCAT?
Yes.
Okay.
I actually have a
okay?
small side crazy story.
Oh,
Where
fun.
I have a friend who he's like I don't understand computers, but he does programming stuff. And his company got contracted to create the new, I say new, this was probably 15 years ago, SCAT system where they kind of updated it
Okay.
to be linked to your CPR. He had the possibility to create a backdoor piece of code that meant he would never pay tax.
Oh, and he didn't do it, or he.
Well, that's the thing we always joked about was you say you didn't
shook.
do it, but sure.
And
you
his
did.
name is Martin Jensen.
Yeah.
His
His name
CPR
is-
number.
Wow.
I don't. He obviously didn't do it, but it was this crazy idea where he said that he got to this point where he was like, I could put a piece of code in, and obviously he was the maker of the code, so he can.
Wow.
I don't know how they do it. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
imagining the Matrix. But
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
He does something, and then he would not pay tax. But he said, but the problem was that he actually even looked into the legal responsibilities, and if he had got caught,
Yeah.
it could be a life sentence, which is I think 14 years in Denmark.
So basically a hotel stay, though, right?
Exactly. So they put you in
Right.
cabin in.
Yeah.
They give you breakfast in bed.
Stay there.
Yeah.
You just can't go to the summer house.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, you
For
can as long
14.
as it's,
Oh, you
as long as it's
can.
during the
You just have to report it.
curfew
Oh, okay,
period. Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
perfect.
Exactly. As long as you bike.
Yeah. Okay. Just by that's something I do want to learn more about is like the incarceration system in
the
Denmark.
whole Orban Fengsel thing.
Yeah. What is
Yeah.
going on there?
I wonder if that's influenced too the idea of like, okay, these are people who are incarcerated,
Yeah.
but they also deserve.
Yeah.
You're not better than them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're giving them the same.
Americans could not cope with that.
Oh,
That would
yeah.
be, I still kind of hesitate to even speak on that on my platform because crazy.
Yeah.
They love their prisons in the U.S.
And the
One
idea
thing.
of punishment.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
punish.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, this person
punishment.
did something terrible, they should
Yeah.
have a terrible life.
Yeah, that was actually such a hard thing for me to get past with parenting and my kids' interactions within the school. And, maybe something would happen to a kid or something. And I'd be like, that kid obviously needs to be expelled from the school and shamed for the rest of his life and just straight to jail,
Tarred and
actually.
feathered.
Very punitive.
Exactly,
Yeah.
straight to
Run through
jail.
the
And
town.
I'd be like, so what was going on? They're like, yeah, we just talked to him. Yeah. And I'm like, it's not enough. Ruin his life, then I'm like, no, I can see how that would like really set people up for having, more tendencies for a criminal lifestyle. I don't know,
Yeah.
but like it just, the math ain't mathin' in the US.
Well, and it does give you a label, right? Like, so if you're
Yeah,
already
yeah.
in school and you're labeled as a troublemaker,
Yeah.
then
might as well
eventually
keep
you're
going
going to
with
start
that.
to believe it.
Yeah, exactly. So
Do you find other instances? Both of you have have children here in Denmark. Do you find instances, whether it's in school or in childcare institutions, where the Janteloven maybe has some impact for them?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's a lifestyle.
Well, I remember one of my sons had a hard time making friends in his Danish school. They said that he was just like too American. And I was like, what? They were like, no, it's a good thing. He's like very open and very friendly, but maybe these kids just aren't used to that. So they weren't like he should change himself. So I appreciated that. But they're like, yeah, this is just kind of the why in that circumstance. And that's just going to be a bit of an obstacle for him. And everyone else is going to have to sort of deal with it. So that was an interesting perspective there. Yeah. What about you? Have you guys dealt with anything?
Oh, I don't know. Well, it's just a sort of this feeling of dropping them at Vuggestu and Børnehave and it being very much like about the collective. So it's like, they all eat
Yeah.
the same thing and they will all act in the same way and we all
Yeah.
behave in the same way. But it's really hard because I also haven't had kids raised in the UK. I only hear all the horror stories, obviously. No one's ever like, here's an average,
sure.
slightly boring story about my child. It'll be the worst thing
Yeah,
happened
yeah,
you
yeah.
would not believe.
So you're like, oh, gosh, thank God I'm not there. Yeah, that's true. I do have the perspective of parenting in the U.S. and here, and I have to say that there's a lot less pressure here. I don't know if that's something that Janteloven contributes to. There's a lot less pressure, but then at the same time, maybe you guys feel this as internationals also, like, just like you're saying, like, we're all here collectively, this is what we eat. There's a lot of, like, it's just implied you should sort of know what's happening at all times. Do you ever feel like that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like, and
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, can somebody like give me the Cliff's Notes here? But like the Cliff's Notes is like these people's entire lived experiences. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So that I still feel like almost 5 years in, I'm sort of like, yeah, somebody help me out here. Give me the intel. But is there an intel? I think it's just sort of like permeated like a collectivism that I don't know as an outsider that I will ever be fully in tune to, for better or worse.
I don't know where people find the time. My son's old Vogastu, I don't remember how, it was way too frequent, was they would say, oh, one of the parents now needs to bring in bread.
Oh.
Right? So, because, if we had to pay a small amount of money for, the famously expensive bread, right?
Yeah.
Famously ridiculously made of gold.
Okay, perfect.
They don't want us to pay for that, so somebody brings in bread, and then it would give you a list of appropriate types of bread and how many loaves, and it was a lot of bread, and then it would also say, and if you want to bake it, you can only contain this much salt, blah, 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 blah.
Oh.
I was the only parent who didn't bake the bread.
Oh.
And parents would turn up with like this perfect basket of fresh buns.
Yeah.
And I would look and be like, where did you find that? I don't even
Yeah.
know if I'm wearing matching socks
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Where did you find the time?
It's like muscle memory for them. They're just like, yes, and here I'm making my homemade buns.
Here's my bread, and I fixed my bike this morning. And
Yes.
I do think, I think it's remarkable because
I see that a lot. Yeah.
It's mad.
Yeah.
There's also this. Have you done the Felspisning where you all eat together and you have to bring a dish?
Yeah, that's a big part of like focus school, unfortunately. Oh,
It's just because
shouldn't say that. I have one coming up.
We'll cut it out. Yeah. Oh.
We're at a new school, and I'm so glad, and I should be glad. But just my experience in the past, it's a lot of focus piecing, and then I just sit there, sort of like, But that's okay. That's just part of my life. But yeah, focus piecing. What else? What else do we do? Oh, the bread baking. What I don't understand, what I don't understand about the bread baking, especially in Copenhagen, is you walk 20 feet outside your door and you are like at a world-class bakery. So I'm like, when I first moved here, I was like, I should be doing this. I started making like sourdough loaves. It ends up being more expensive and so much more time. You're buying the equipment. You're buying all these like special flours. You're spending all this time like leavening and you can just walk outside. And
a soda is like raising a child.
It really is. Have you tried it?
I immediately gave up, but
good. You are a better man than I, because I spent several months, and then I developed a health condition, and the doctor was like, "Oh, you need to really seriously cut back on your refined grains, so wheat and butter." But meanwhile, I had all of the sourdough that I was like, I would have like 2 giant loaves a week because of like the way that you have to make it, you have to make 2 giant loaves. I didn't have any friends because that was new. So I'm eating all of this bread with butter and then making myself sick from it. So that's just, don't bake at home, guys. Don't do it. Just go to the bakery.
Think you're so special. You need to make your own bread.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Be like the common man.
Be like the common. Go to the netto.
Perfect.
Whoa. Go to the Anderson Bakery and get the 145 sourdais with spelt
Okay, will do. Okay, cool.
But I think that whether it's the bread, the children making friends, I think that is one way that as international as we are affected, because we do stand out, and maybe our kids are too American, around their peers, or we don't know to bring the bread, things like that, and it can be very alienating. So it's important to kind of understand this a little bit right away and realize that maybe you'll never be one of us, but try to blend in where you can.
And give helpful tips. I'll never forget, it wasn't until my son was in like maybe 2nd class that a teacher was like, hey, just so you know, like around Christmas, we watch these like Christmas calendar shows and you can watch it on this channel. It's at this time. And I was like, thank you for that. And that's the only time I really got that sort of, but I still am like, thank you so much for that. Like, I just needed that, and I still need more of that. So if anybody wants to give me any heads up about what we're supposed to be doing with our lives as parents in Denmark, please, you can find my contact information below. Okay.
Yeah, it's nice getting that help.
It really is.
Another way that for internationals, Janteloven can maybe dampen things or be something to navigate. It's sort of in the workplace. So of course, Denmark, you'll often hear there's a flat hierarchy. And that can be a little bit tricky, especially coming from the US, the UK, where it's maybe not as hierarchical as in Asia, for example, but there is a direct reporting structure with accountability and authority. So that's a little bit different here where things are a bit more flat. You can sort of walk into your boss's office and tell them, this isn't working and I don't like it. And you may also get feedback from people who are your peers and not necessarily your manager. And that can be a little bit jarring. Sometimes I'm like, but you're not in charge of me. Why are you telling me how to do things?
That's awkward.
Yeah, it can be very awkward.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Yeah.
But you've experienced that before personally?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's a lot.
I think even making decisions can be
Yeah.
tough. I remember sometimes, I was working in the startups and a bit of a smaller group anyway, but sometimes I was in meetings like, this doesn't apply to me. I like being included, but we don't all have to be the same because this is taking my time away from tasks that I am directly responsible for. But however, like my Danish colleagues would say, no, it's very important that we're all transparent and that we all at least know what these decisions that have been made are, even though I didn't have any oversight on them.
And how do you fit that all into a 37-hour work week? You know what I'm saying? Sheesh.
But then it was fine because I left at 4:30 and it was
love
fine.
that.
So it's
Gotta
still
go.
yeah.
That's
But
crazy.
That was a bit of an adjustment.
Yeah. When I, sort of to like help me get acclimated, I thought it'd be fun to just take a little hourly job. So I was working at as a cashier at like a beauty store, but it ended up that I shared a lot of the same roles as the manager. So I was like opening and closing the register, having to file these paperworks, check in inventory. And in the US, I worked in that industry before, and that would all be like separate jobs, I was like, I'm not getting paid enough for this. Also, you don't want me doing this. I didn't sleep last night. Like, I can't keep up with all this. So I did eventually leave.
I know another thing for people that are sometimes moved here for work. I know Mike felt like this, especially at first. When we were moved over, we had there was a package with the relocation, and he was very keenly focused on not looking ostentatious because there was a healthy budget to move to Copenhagen. We were only 2 people, so we didn't need that much space, and he kind of wanted to have a smaller apartment and things like that. And I was kind of more like, no, we have this budget. We're going to have people visiting us. Let's have a nice baller apartment. Yeah. And he felt very uncomfortable with that. He didn't want his coworkers to know the type of apartment we lived in because he was around the Janteloven in the office. And
he was
I wasn't around that many people. Yeah, I wasn't around that many
Interesting.
days.
It was already like pervaded and it latched onto him already. That's so what did you guys end up doing?
Oh, we got the big apartment.
Good.
Nice.
Good.
You just have a false wall that comes down when people come over.
Yeah. This is it,
Bathroom,
guys.
no, you have to go in the garden. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Yes.
They're like, wow, how noble of you. Wow.
But I did find that, and we don't live there anymore. This was only in that period of time where they were covering it. However, eventually I did pick up on these cues, and when people would come over, I would say, oh, well, it's because we have like this company, but we're definitely moving as soon as that goes away. And we did. We're like, this is not like this is the biggest place we've ever lived. And it was true.
Yeah.
But I always felt like I had to justify it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, where was it? Now I want to see
pictures. It was like right above Airport Station.
Oh, fun.
Actually, we did an episode of this is so anti-Janteloven. We did an episode of House Hunters International.
No way.
Yeah.
Cute. Could I still see it?
Yeah.
Oh,
if I can find the link, I'll put it in the show.
Please.
But I'll send it to you. It's like location. Yeah.
Is that a UK
Nice.
thing?
This is the
Yeah.
UK
Oh, that's
version.
cute.
Yeah. They show it on
awesome.
Day Air sometimes, I think.
That's so fun. Oh, I cannot wait to watch that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That was our
But you
big
guys at least have
conflict.
like real jobs. I feel like on every episode they're like, this guy is a parrot trainer and here's his husband. He's a tarot card reader. You're like, okay.
was
And
a
their
bit-
budget is like $55 million US.
Yeah, there is a little bit that is made for TV.
Okay.
as
Oh,
well.
interesting. Oh, I can't wait to watch. That's so cool. Love that little TV star over here. How Janteloven that I just now discovered this about you.
Oh, yeah, I don't talk about it. I wouldn't.
Very cute.
I'm just imagining the Danish version of Cribs. Can you imagine?
Ooh.
Oh, welcome in. A bathroom is toilet separate from the shower
Yeah.
area, and the shower's broken. And here is the kitchen, not new, from 1995. Can you imagine just going around?
Perfect.
And who are you? I'm actually the head of Mask. And if you look
but
over
anyway,
here, the view is of a wall.
Yes.
I think there is an
That's
episode
hilarious.
of the MTV show Cribs where Robin, I know she's Swedish, but I think the
Oh.
Janteloven prevails there as well. And again, she had a very
No.
a very cozy
Yeah.
1 or
Aw.
2 bedroom apartment, and it was very different than say I think she might have had a number 2 song. Mariah Carey had a number 3 song, and then you go to Mariah Carey's Cribs.
Yeah,
also,
yeah.
it's vastly
Crazy
different.
town.
A
I
room
still
full
remember
of
it.
proportions.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
she's got a 2-bedroom flat in Stockholm.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I
So
gotta see
cute.
that one too. That's
Yeah.
precious. But we should bring back Cribs, don't you think? That was such a
Yeah.
great
I
show,
did
and just
like
the
it.
aesthetic of Cribs as well. Everyone's got the same gray and beige flat or house now. Back in the day, it was here's my water slide indoors
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah.
Here's my movie theater. That's fun. I like that aesthetic.
Do you remember they would wrap up every episode of Cribs by saying,
Yeah.
"You don't have to leave, but y'all got to get the hell out of here."
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
Imagine the Danish shows being like, "We're very welcome to stay. I have to go to work."
Oh yeah, they would
Thank you.
never leave.
And you can stay the night if you would like.
What I always want to know the culture behind why are you staying at my house so long? Can you go? Danes? You know what I'm
yes,
saying?
yes.
I don't know how to.
No, that's when you've got to learn the whole no.
Okay.
That's when you slap your thighs, you say no, and that basically signals the hygge is over.
Okay.
That's the hygge spell. That's the midnight for Cinderella. Yeah.
This is so valuable.
It's so
Okay.
true,
I'm always
yeah.
what are you up to today? What are you going to do after this? Yeah.
And the thing is, I love it because they don't lie. It's not like, oh, I've got a dentist appointment or whatever, some nonsense. They'll just be like, no, so that was really hoogly. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They don't justify it. They'll just be like, yeah, no,
Off you go.
yeah, for Svin. It's time to get out of my house
Cool.
now.
And you don't need an excuse.
No, that's what I find really kind
Cool.
of refreshing about Danes is there's not this awkward, oh, I've got my
Yeah.
sister's rehearsal.
Right.
They'll just be like, yeah, so that was that. It's time for you to go.
Sometimes your
So
social
nice.
battery
Off the
just
property.
goes, off the property.
You know, you
gotta
can
go
stand
now.
on the
Yeah.
pavement next to the
We're not
house.
interacting anymore.
You can't be in the area.
That's incredible. Okay, I respect that.
Yeah.
No. Talking of,
Great. Well, I think then it's probably time for us all to say no.
No, I can't even do it anymore.
no, tack for a day.
Tack for det, tack for hug,
Yeah. Tack for en dejlig
tack for en dejlig day.
show.
What? Oh my gosh. It's always so embarrassing doing this with a Danish producer.
I
I'm
know.
I'm
He's
so
like, no,
sorry.
judging us.
Just
I'm
stop.
sorry. Just stop. Get out. You're fired.
But thank you all for listening to What Are You
Yeah.
Doing in Denmark? Don't forget to give our show a follow, rating, and review in whatever podcast platform you're listening on. Thank you to Annie and Conrad. You can find all of our social media links in the description and the show notes.
Yeah.
Thanks especially Conrad.
Yeah.
And we'll
Tack for a day. Thank you for having me.
catch you on the tour.
Yes.
Precis Liam Lit.
Vi ses.